Where the hell am I? Hello? Hello? Oh, calm down. Calm down. What was the last thing you remember? Chicago. The White City. Mother. I gotta get out of here. Calling me afeard. Where the fucking hell am I? Jesus fucking Christ. An old Ferris wheel. In here? The wheel was absolutely massive, hanging in the darkness, almost wraith-like. Despite the room being so black, I could see the full extent of the wheel with such clarity. It had to be a couple 100 feet tall, at least. Hello? Hello? Can anybody hear me? There was something vaguely familiar about it. I'd almost certainly seen it, or one just like it, some time ago. As I approached, I noticed one of the sizable carriages was waiting for me. Its door swung wide open in invitation. The whole thing was banjaxed, but something told me I had no choice but to go inside. I caught whiff of a sudden scent. It was medicinal, sterilized, and completely contradictory to the setting. Jesus! What the fuck? There didn't seem to be any power to the wheel, but somehow the car was moving, almost like it had responded to my presence. The door slammed shut, and I was locked in for the ride. Oh God. Slow down. Fucking slow down. Hello? Who's there? Ah! the fuck is going on? Get away from me! No, no. What the fuck? What the hell is going on? Oh God, no. And there it was again. The Ferris wheel. The splinter in my mind. Where had I seen it before? I know you're up there, whoever you are. Just so you know, I ain't fucking coming up there again.
And how are you today, Nothing to say. Well, it's feeding time, so open wide.
The voice, just like the wheel in front of me, was familiar in a way I just couldn't place. Perhaps he was the one who'd set this all up. Was he watching me right now? I could see walls either side of me, but behind the wheel the room seemed to stretch onwards. I didn't want to go near that fucking monstrosity, but I had me no other choice. I passed by it, into the bleak, and me pocket lighter did nothing to light my way. I must have ran a few hundred yards and nothing had changed. When I stopped to catch me breath, I took a glance behind me. Oh Christ, no. The Ferris wheel loomed close, as if I hadn't stepped but 10 feet away. What is this shite? Why are you doing this to me? I paced back and forth for a time. This was an elaborate maze, set up by an enemy unseen. It seemed I had no choice but to go round the wheel again. Now I'd been on these rides before, but they were slow affairs, designed for people to take in great views at great heights. There was nothing to see outside my window. I had no indication of how fast I was moving, other than the rising and dipping in me guts.
Boyo, any more of this and there'll be less of it. For better or worse, you're here now, so I'll be putting it to use. No way to fuck with you.
The carriage came to a more gentle stop this time around. What is that? London town? Give me the fucking money! Give me the fucking money! I could hear my own voice in my head. Give me the fucking money! I knew this place. What? No. This is impossible. I'd seen this letter way back in 1906. It was a missive of betrayal that I wasn't meant to see.
Pistols, John. How about we fight like men?
No. This can't be.
I took you in, John. Taught you our creed. And you pissed on it. Time and time again.
No. This has happened before.
I was naive to think you'd accept imprisonment. I'm sorry, John. You leave me no choice.
Don't come near me! Get away!
You killed him! You bastard! I'll make you suffer!
Wait! Don't! Ah!
It's all a test. We just have to find the right response.
Who the bloody hell are you? Showing me things that I've never spoken of to a living soul. What do you want from me? I should have known by now that there wasn't gonna be an answer, but I carried on screaming anyway. Whoever you are, I did fucking nothing to you. There has to be a way out. There must be. You hear that? I'm gonna find the exit, and then I'm gonna find you. After scrambling and scratching through the dark, I did find a door. The corridor beyond was akin to the rest of this place. Just mottled, filthy walls with multiple sets of doors facing each other. They were empty cells with nothing of interest. I had to press on. This isn't happening. This isn't happening. I could feel a breeze, cool and distinct, splitting the musty air of the prison. It carried with it the promise of my release. Oh, Jesus Christ! One more step and I'd have been history. I sensed that there was water below, but I couldn't see it. I was like an explorer from the Middle Ages who'd finally found the edge of the earth. There was nothing beyond. I could sense it. To my right-hand side, however, there was something. You couldn't call it a path exactly, but there was room enough for my feet. I had no other choice. Okay, take it slow, John. What the fuck? I didn't know if I was ready to die. I never thought I'd achieve much in my life, but to leave so many things unresolved. Just then, as I sank, and the freezing cold water enveloped me, just then, as I pleaded in vain for God to let me into his kingdom, my tormentor dragged me back here. I suppose it was then that it struck me. There was no escape. The wheel and its master was telling me not to struggle. And lo, once more did my chariot await. No, not this. As soon as I'd stepped into the carriage, I could smell her. Please no. Not this. 1911, and what a wonderful year it was. I'd moved away from the thieving game and gone legit, working away me days on the docks in Southampton, spending me coin in the local boozers by night.
Well, aren't you a sight? But I reckon you might scrub up well.
She was the first woman I'd met in Southampton, and by 1912 I'd made her my wife.
I love you, John. I love you.
It was the only time in my life that I'd known peace. But peace is only temporary, a prelude to war. In 1914, my peace, along with that of countless others, was drowned in the bloody trenches of Europe. Every living creature has to fight at one time or another, but war is a human disease. It had been particularly horrific for me, simply because I'd survived its duration. I was left to walk the world after, expected to pretend like nothing had happened, that the horrors I'd seen had meant nothing. I should have died in Passchendaele, alongside the last of my friends. Or maybe I did. Maybe I never made it out of those trenches. Surviving is one thing. Being alive is something completely different. I knew what the wheel was going to show me next. You could feel death's effect in the air. Wives left widowed, kids without fathers, families just torn apart. The surviving men that were lucky enough to find employment did so as ghosts, automated and passionless. It just wasn't the same anymore. And so I thanked my lucky stars when I saw her at the market on the morning of January 3rd, 1919. Stop this! Why are you showing me this? This ain't no one's business but mine and hers. Step out here so as I can fucking do ya! When you shoot a man dead or run your bayonet through his heart, you have to know what you're doing it for. As it turned out, I'd been living the past 4 years driven by a deceitful, empty promise. She'd remarried. Some wealthy real estate broker who'd served as a high-ranking officer during the war, but was discharged in 1915 due to injury. After all the senseless death had come to a close, the English had pinned a fucking badge to my chest and sent me on my way. And for what? For this injustice? This betrayal? Hello, Lucille. It's been a long time. It's hard to describe a person's expression when all that guilt, shame, and maybe even self-loathing all hit home at the same time.
John?
Oh, I'd wanted to say something nasty to her. But even after this duplicity, I couldn't bring myself to speak out of turn. No, not to her. But as it turned out, there was someone I could project my vitriol onto. And he was about to start talking.
Darling, who is this man?
Oh, this is an old friend of mine.
I see. The name's Huntington Carver. Nice to meet you, old chap.
This vulture of a man who'd swept in and took what was mine. Took my hand too, and he shook it hard. He just stared at me with that fucking fake smile of his. I didn't say a goddamn word to him. I just smiled right on back. God knows how many more nights I spent in that fucking town, buying all the whiskey I could afford and knocking it into me.
John, what are you doing here? You're drunk.
I just want you to have a wee swallow with me, for old time's sake.
You can't be here right now. You're making this harder for the both of us. Just go.
I tried and I tried, and I drank and I drank, but I was attracting all the wrong kinds of attention.
I've seen the way you look at my wife. I know she means something to you. I understand the way property works. It's my job, after all. I also understand how property changes hands. Whatever it was you had with her, it's over now. You can no more get her back than you can that whiskey that swills in your gut.
Ah, bollocks to ya! Do you know who I am?
I don't need to know your name. You're part of her past. You have no place in her future.
Stealing my wife? Stepping on my toes? Ya must be thick as pig shite.
I can see you won't listen to reason. That's fine by me.
What the hell? Oh. Is that all you got, you piece of shit? You hit like a fucking woman. It was a savage beating, doled out by hired hands. My blood was all over the deck and plastered across the shirts of my attackers, but not one stain did fall upon Honington Carver. He'd stood there in the background the whole time, not once taking his hands out of his pockets. The fucking coward.
I can't imagine what she saw in a wretched little churl like you. I wouldn't even hire you to scrub my latrine. Let this be a lesson to you, you filthy Irish peasant. If you come near her again, I will end you.
I spent the next 2 weeks in a hospital bed, trapped within my own thoughts. But that was okay. I'd simply gone from a larger prison to a smaller one. When I'd done my time, I had not been reformed, 'cause I'd hatched a plan to get her out of there. I'd picked many locks in London, so this was no trouble at all. Overall though, the plan was, at best ill-conceived, at worst, downright stupid. Worse still, I couldn't find the courage without the drop, so I took my first steps into Honington Carver's house under the influence of a cheeky few.
John, what the hell are you doing in here? This is my marital home.
What about our marital home, Lucille? I know it wasn't as dandy as this place, but I gave you everything I had nonetheless.
You went to war, John. I never expected you to come back.
Had you committed me to the grave before I'd even left? Did you see me as dead, even though I still drew breath?
Keep your voice down. He'll kill you if he finds you in here.
Come away with me. I've booked secret passage aboard a cargo ship headed for New York. Leave this faux cushy life behind. You love me. I know you do.
You have to leave. You have to leave right now.
Do you want to spend the rest of your life as a trophy? Come off it, Lucille. You're fooling no one. This isn't a marriage. It's a perversion of all things conjugal. So come away with me. We have to leave now.
Well, well. You struck me as stupid when we first met. But to find you broken into my home, you must be suicidal.
What to hell with ya? She's coming with me, and that's fucking that.
Over my dead body.
It was a messy dust-up. He was a lot tougher than I'd expected him to be. I don't remember how the blade came into my hand. He might have produced it, or I might have bought it myself. After what I'd done in the war, killing Carver had felt so damn easy. I felt like I'd put down a disruptor on my property, a rabid dog, an animal. But when I turned to her and saw that look in her eyes, I guess she felt it was the other way around. I've never been very good at comforting crying women. I ended up shouting my head off and pulling her around the room by the arm.
Get off me! Get the hell away from me!
She slipped free of my grasp and she was away.
Help me! Somebody help me!
Then came the sound of commotion outside, the heavy boots of the law crunching the gravel as they tore on down the garden path. I was finished if I stayed.
Mr. Carver?
And I was broken
LUCILLE!
if I left.
This is the police. Are you alright in there?
But out of instinct, I chose the latter and took the ship to America. And just like that, she was gone. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. So, what was the last thing I remember? I remember my return to Chicago in the year of our Lord 1925. This year. But then, after blinking my eyes hard, I was back in 1893. The World's Fair.
You know we can't take him there, Bill. The food they sell is complete junk.
He likes hamburgers. I want to get him a fucking hamburger.
My parents had argued somewhat fierce that day, when they throw themselves that hard at each other over a dispute about where to have lunch that afternoon. You knew it was at an end.
Don't swear in front of him.
Jesus Christ, Alex, why you gotta do this? Every fucking time you do this.
I told you not to swear in front of our son.
Why, Alex? He doesn't understand. It's just a goddamn word. What he does understand is you shooting your mouth off and cussing me all day long.
Don't you dare make this my fault.
Well, you're the one who's arguing. Can't we just have a nice day out for a change? Why can't we just take him somewhere, show him a good time, and not friggin' argue? Just for once.
Oh, that's enough. There's just no getting through to you, is there? You know what? If you want to show him a good time, you do it yourself. I'm spending the night at Gloria's.
You're going nowhere.
Something snapped in her then. Mother, she raked her claws across my father's cheek.
Ah, you fucking bitch!
And before he could recover sufficiently, she'd mixed with the masses, leaving me daddy standing.
Hey! Hey, come back here!
And leaving me with this sad scene to replay.
Oh, and there you go. Whenever there's a problem, you run after your sisters. God fucking damn it. Come on, boy, let's go.
I'd later find out that there'd been a man in the crowd that day. Holmes, they called him. He was a hunter of sorts. He saw people like a mechanic might see a machine. He took them back to his castle, where he stripped parts off them, set their bones on display, and sold the remains for profit. This man, with murder in mind, was the architect of my life. Because of the scratches on me daddy's face, he was the chief suspect in me mother's murder case. I was gone from America by this point, sent to live with my uncle in Northern Ireland. But I supposed father took to the bottle before he took to the rope. In 1896, Henry Howard Holmes confessed to the murders of 30 people, one of which was Alexandria White, my mother. So, what was the last thing I remember? Chicago, the White City. Mother. World's Fair, right? Of course, now that I think about it, the only reason we were at the fair that day was because I begged, literally begged my parents to take me along so that I could ride the world's first ever Ferris wheel. My mother died because I couldn't take no for an answer. And in the end, I didn't even get to ride the damn thing. When the whole fucking wheel had come crashing down to the ground, a door appeared amongst the rubble.
Enjoy your night. Champagne is complimentary.
You're not supposed to be here yet. This isn't part of the plan.
Bound by blood or not, family's sacred. At least, it should have been. Maggie, how are you?
Maggie? Who's Maggie? You must have mistaken me, kind sir. My name is...
Countess Deloria Desai, I know. But suppose I was to tell you that this has all happened before. That this job was doomed from the very start.
I have to find the mark, John. Have you seen him? Have you seen Lord Henry?
No, I haven't seen Lord Henry because he knew we were coming. With our fake fucking names and ridiculous costumes. We were in over our heads. Like I told you we were.
John, keep your voice down. Are you trying to blow my cover?
So I can't save you then? What's the point in showing me all of this if I can't save you?
The prodigal son returns to the scene of his crime.
It's been a long time, Brax. Not that time means anything down here.
You betrayed me, John.
Ah, bollocks. You set me up, you fucking caffler.
Still hiding behind petty insults, I see. Still blaming others for your own failures.
So, what is it? You want to fight me again? Is that what this place is? Okay, Brax. I'll fight you again. I'll fight you 100 fucking times if it'll get me free from these chains.
But that won't free you, will it, John?
Oh, Jesus Christ!
Don't you dare turn away! It's all that's left of me. You took the rest.
Don't you start with me as well. I tried to warn the pair of you.
You killed me, John. You killed us both. And you took your memories of us and sealed them away. Like we meant nothing to you.
How can you say that to me? You was like a sister to me, Maggie. And Brax was my brother. You were family. But you did me over. You were gonna chop me and turn me over to the law just to save your sorry hides. You did a deal with the devil, and so I sent you to his table.
But this isn't about us, is it? Our story has already been told. Our fate's decided.
So this whole thing is about judgment. Save your breath. I know I'm headed to the world below. If I'm not already there.
Absolution is not free, John. It's high time you earned it.
You were just as keen to kill me as I was you. And she came charging at me with a knife. What was I to do? Roll over and die?
Like you should have done in the war? You would have saved us all a lot of trouble.
Ah, screw you, Carver. You don't get no say, your wife stealing braggart.
But he didn't steal me, John. I chose him.
Lucille, what are you saying, darling?
You know what I'm saying. There's always something inside you that prevented you from being happy.
That ain't true, Lucille. I'd have settled for you.
Settled? You really know how to make a girl feel wanted. You didn't trust me, John.
Don't do this, Lucille.
When news of the war spread, and the call to arms came, never before had I seen so much life in you. Like something long dormant had finally awakened.
What? You want me to say it? Fine. The war was simple. All I had to do was point and shoot. Killing other men in a fucking muddy ditch. It was all I craved.
Or maybe you feel you deserved it.
Is that you, Mother?
But it wasn't the war that scarred you deepest. That dubious honor belongs to me.
I was helpless then, watching you slip away. And I'm helpless now.
It's no way to live your life, son. Blaming yourself for the sins of others. Me and your father had our problems, and a simple argument drove me into the arms of a fiend. A man incapable of compassion or remorse. I made a stupid decision, and the decided currency was my death. Your father too paid for his choice. He was broken, and he sent you away when you were too young to understand. Please, don't hate him. We paid in blood, the both of us, and there is no need for you to do the same. Every decision you've made, every direction you take, leads back to Chicago. But one moment alone should not be allowed to shape an entire life. You have suffered, and you have forced your suffering onto others, but no more. Life doesn't have to be a curse. It's time for you to go home. We love you, son.
They're coming, son. Don't give in like I did.
Dad, I don't know if I'm ready to come back.
They're coming for you, John. Fight them. You have to fight back.
Okay. I know who I am. I know why I'm here. My name is John White. I was born in Green Bay, Wisconsin in 1885. I spent my youth on my uncle's farm in Dungiven, Northern Ireland, after my mother was murdered in Chicago, 1893. Oh, Jesus Christ, help me!
Focus, John, focus! Don't give in, son!
I fought abuse. I fought greed, poverty, and heartbreak. I've killed for a country that I merely adopted. And I killed for myself. And now I know why I'm here. Now I finally understand what this place is.
Something's happening. He's responding.
That's it, John. Stay with us.
Thank you.
Come back to us.
I'm ready. I finally...
Come back to us, John.
I finally think I'm ready.
Carried to the new jail tomorrow, leaving my poor darling alone, with the cold prison bars all around me, and my head on a pillow of stone. Now I have a grand ship on the ocean, all mounted with silver and gold, and before my poor darling would suffer, oh, that ship would be anchored and sold. Now if I had wings like an angel, over these prison walls I would fly, and I'd